be fearless, be shameless. Who the fuck cares what people think? Like, easier said than done, obviously, but the more time you spend thinking about what other people are thinking about you, the less time you're spending getting to be like your strongest self, if you will, mentally, physically, whatever that looks like for you. But if I'm sitting at home like, oh my God, I can't do push-ups at the gym because so-and-so is going to look at me and they're going to laugh. And like, obviously if that shit is actually happening, then fuck those people. They can
eat a dick.
They can, yeah. I was like, I'm going to say something and I don't know what to say. I was trying to make it really good, but that was great. Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
It's Johnny Late Night! And now here's your host, Johnny Rogers!
Welcome back, you cool kids, to episode number 47 of the Johnny Rogers Show. My guest today is well on her way to becoming the most exciting and unforgettable artist you have ever witnessed. Her innovative songwriting and evocative and haunting moods make it nearly impossible to shake. She is on some otherworldly modern-day mix of Jeff Buckley, Patti Smith, and Adele. However, that being said, there truly are no decent comparisons that adequately describe her authentic sound and voice as an artist. She's opened up for the iconic Bif Naked, she's fresh off some shows with Canadian Music Week, and she'll be headlining at the legendary Horseshoe Tavern in Toronto on July 9th. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my friend and yours, Delyn Grey. It popped right in my head too when I saw my buddy Sean, the Creative Imbalance, who was going to be going to see that, because he had Bif also on his podcast. So there's an actual mutual link there. And then when I saw that you were on the lineup, I was like, oh, you're going to love Delyn.
That's so nuts. Yeah, I was wondering what the connection was there. I was like, well, I guess he had tagged me in something. It was he, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He
it's very
tagged me.
Respectful of you to make sure the pronouns are correct.
I know. Well, I never know now. I just want to be careful.
Of course.
Yeah, I think he had tagged me in something that morning with Bif, and I was wondering what it was all about. But I guess that answers my question. It was a podcast. Very cool.
Well, I'll just clear things up too for anybody watching here. I met Delyn doing, I believe it was Humble and Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
We're just literally doing morning radio show, and I get called in to just do my comedian thing and talk for a little bit and promote some stuff that I was on, and then Delyn was coming in to actually do live music on the radio, which is terrifying to me. But you killed it. I was like, damn. I was like, how have I not heard of Delyn Grey yet? This is nuts.
Thank you. Yeah, no, those guys are so great. My dad used to work with them, and they've known me since I was a little kid, so it was a little weird, but awesome.
Still great that you get to leverage that as well, right? Like,
oh my God, come on, yeah. Golden ticket right there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I was gonna say, like, have you chosen or have you given any thought to like a word or anything that you want to kick this convo off? It can be just a hang, but.
Yeah, I was so, honestly, that I've never been like nervous for podcasts ever, but that being the one criteria, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even know. I'm going to say something so stupid. I don't know. I left it to the very last minute because I was just going to overthink it. Let's go with poster because I'm looking at one. Yeah.
You just go.
There you go. There you go. I pretty much just like ended up
doing
what I was so worried about.
And I keep getting that too, and I think it's because like a lot of people aren't used to like the podcast format. Like I always forget how new podcasting is, where it's like I've had this like come up a lot where people are like, oh, I was worried that I wasn't gonna have anything to say, or like I don't feel like I'm that interesting of a person. And I'm like, everybody's got a story, like if we get down to it, which is what I love about podcasting, because there's no like cut to commercial breaks, there's no like stack. I don't have like I probably would be a better interviewer if I had a list of questions.
No, it keeps it more fun. Fluid, flexible. Yeah, no, it's good.
Exactly. And I think that's what people like. They just want to like hang, and if there's fans of yours, they get to know you on a different medium or a different level. Because I don't know how many of these do you do. You're probably just writing and performing most of the time, right?
Yeah, honestly, I wish I could say I was performing all the time, but it's pretty much just like writing in my studio and dreaming of performing again someday. Obviously, there are a couple shows coming up, but COVID was a big bummer, as I'm sure you know, for comedy as well. Like, try going out to a live audience, not happening.
It's just people are scared, right? Like, that was the biggest thing.
Totally. I mean, honestly, I was too. Like, yeah, just all the anxiety around it was pretty nuts. But I mean, I feel like we're getting back, and it's good.
Yes, slowly but surely. How was that show, and how did everything go?
Oh man, it felt like I haven't taken a breath for 3 years, and that was like, sorry, I say 3 years. Was it like 2.5 since COVID or something?
It feels like 3.
Whatever. It feels like 15.
Yeah.
But no, it feels like, as soon as I stepped on that stage, I started breathing again. It was fantastic. I don't know if that's kind of the same feeling for you when you got to do comedy again.
Oh yeah.
For a live audience, but like, oh man, the social media stuff is not cutting it.
No, not at all. And that's the conversation I keep having with comedians, is like a lot of people just pivoted and they started doing like Zoom comedy shows, and I just couldn't get behind it, because I was like, the whole point of stand-up, for me at least, is to be able to write a joke that day, then get on a microphone that night and see if it works or not.
Yeah.
And like, to do it to somebody who's behind their screen in their house, like the laughter, I'm sure there was like weird like delays on stuff. Like, comedy is all about timing. So
that's the funny. I didn't even consider that. I was thinking like people without their camera on, you don't even know if anyone's watching.
That too.
But the laughter delay, oh my god, man, that would be fantastic. I'd want to actually record that and then put it into a song or something. That would be the funniest shit ever. God. Anyways. Not that matters. Sorry, continue.
But did you pick poster just because you looked at a poster?
Literally, yeah. I was like looking across. I'm in my studio right now, and I was like, oh, there's a poster up on the wall. Let's go with that. There's so much more interesting stuff around here. I don't know why it was poster, but I pretty much just, did the one thing that I was worried about. Just choose a stupid word.
That's so funny. I mean, you know what? I'm going to stop asking people and just let it come naturally. Because, like, again, there was my two podcasts ago, Max Ross, who I had on, was a comedian. I didn't even, like, ask for a word. We kind of just got right into it. And it was, like, in the middle of the podcast, he was talking about, like, he was in the military for a bit, and he was talking about like parachuting out of a plane and how fast you drop. And I was like, I think we should call this episode Courage, because god damn.
Yeah, are you kidding? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that's wild. Like, what? And he said it so casually. He was like, yeah, so you just kind of throw the parachute. I was like, what?
Just another Tuesday for me.
It's something I noticed though, that like a lot of people do, no matter what you're into, you're always comparing yourself to people who are perhaps in a position that you want to be in. So even if you do something like that's super impressive to, I call people who aren't in the entertainment industry civilians, something that's
fair enough.
Something that's interesting to a civilian, or like they are impressed by, you're like, yeah, whatever. So-and-so has already done the X, Y, and Z. So that's like, we always try to push ourselves. I don't know if that's just a Canadian thing or if it's like,
I don't think so. I mean, even now with social media more so than ever, like we're always, it's not even, I don't know if like back in the day, like the parent generations and before, maybe you had like a handful of people that you idolized, but now it's like, oh, I have 50 million people that I follow on TikTok and like everyone on Instagram. And it's just this constant barrage of like, you're not good enough. And this is what you should be doing. And this is how you should be doing it. And this is what works. And you're not doing what works, obviously, because you still have 100 followers or whatever it is, it's just like this impossible situation. But yeah,
I really felt that pre-COVID, like the influx or the like, the push for like comedians to always be so active on social media, whether it's like making sketches or doing all this stuff. And I'm like, how does anyone have time to do this? Like, I gotta hold down 2 jobs and I gotta like, write jokes for the actual stage. And I'm like, I don't know how people are doing this. And then it became apparent to me, at least in the pandemic, when everything was kind of taken away and everyone was put on the same like level playing field, where it was like, nobody has any work to do, like everything is whatever. I was like, oh, I'm maybe like a little bit lazy with this kind of stuff. Like it's not so much that I don't have the time, it's I haven't made the time for it. So it's like I only really make time for things that I personally view as like valuable. So for whatever reason, posting 3 times a day to social media has no value to me. Even if it ups my followers by 10,000, it's like I would rather spend time with my brother, or you know what I mean, write a new joke or stuff like that, right? And especially like comedy, I switched to hip hop in 2020, and I just,
oh my God,
I put out a whole album like on April 20th. Just completely switched. Like I was like, fuck, I don't need this comedy brain. Let me focus on music now and be like,
that's so sick.
Yeah. So I was like, there's that experimenting too, where I kind of realized like, oh, I've heard it a million times, but like comparison truly is the thief of joy. Like as long as you're just competing with yourself and trying to always better yourself, that's it. It should full stop right there. I just try to be happy for other people, and I find it takes away any of that like, oh, I'm not doing enough. Because I don't know if you feel like that in music. Do you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, I need to be doing more?
Oh my God, dude, like right before I got on, I was literally having like a mental breakdown with my boyfriend. And I was like,
I love a good mental breakdown.
I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not understanding why I'm just stuck in this same spot and have been stuck, and nothing is happening, and it doesn't seem to matter who I meet or what I do or how I do it, or like I don't even know. It just doesn't matter what happens. It's just this plateau that I haven't been able to get out of yet. So I don't know, just waiting for that tipping point, you know, trying to like just do what motivates me. Like you were saying, like I don't know if, like, I know that being a TikTok star is not what I want to do with my life. Like I don't care what, like honestly, like I could get a record deal tomorrow if the TikTok thing was the way to do it, and I wouldn't want that. Like that's just not what I want. And I think part of it's too is because like I do still idolize people who weren't in this era, like coming up in this era, and you know, like I want to cut my teeth on the road and get on tour and play for actual people and not be so motivated by the numbers. Like I can't tell you the amount of times, even just like grant applications, all these people are like, we have so much money for emerging artists and we're so incredible and we're really going to help you, but you have to have at least 10,500 followers on all of your social media and you have to have this engagement. I'm like, fuck you. Like,
so you have to do the work for them.
Literally, basically. This is the thing. And the same thing for labels too. Everyone's fishing on like TikTok and stuff, and they're looking for the $1 million babies, and hopefully they're noticing like most of it's just a flash in the pan and whatever, man. I'm here for the long run, and I'm sure you are too. Like this shit, you can't just like turn it off. Like you're saying, you have music and your comedy, and music just
because those are two things that make me happy. Like the one thing that I found with music, at least, was like when I was at such a low point where I was like, fuck, like I'm like 8 years into comedy, which is not like, it's a weird like middle point. Like it's like you're not like well formed enough as a comedian for comedy clubs to take you seriously and want to put you up on weekends, but you're not like amateur enough to be like, well, I tried and it didn't work out, so let me just switch fields. You're like, I'm really invested in this. Like I've turned away opportunities to keep doing this thing that doesn't really pay me that much. You know, like you're like just out of the love. So when I found, like, I was just like, I've told this a million times on this podcast before, but like I'll say it again. When I was working for the YouTube channel, which saved me, honestly, through the pandemic, because I could work from home, I was able to make an income, and I didn't have to rely on Daddy Trudeau's money.
God love him.
I didn't want to do that. I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take this money from this guy. I need to just make my own money. And I would just listen to like I'd find different producers on YouTube and just listen to the beats, because they didn't have any lyrics, so I could focus. But then I found myself like coming up with lyrics in my head, like, oh, if I were to write to this song, what would I want to say? And then I'd start writing it down, and then I became obsessed. Then I was like making a song every single day. I would like, during work, I would be listening to a song and writing lyrics, do a little bit of work, write some more lyrics. Then after work, go right into my closet where I'd set up like my Yeti mic and my laptop.
Oh, that's
and I'd
so sick.
Record it, and then I'd be mixing all day. And then the next day during work, I would be like taking breaks to edit the mix from yesterday, to fix it and tweak it and see, oh, I'm gonna add this in. And it was too much fun to just push it down as like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be focused on comedy. It's like, why? I'm having fun doing this. So why would I like stop doing that?
Totally. It's not often that you come across something that drives you like that, that you have to do. It was interesting. I worked with a producer a while ago. Like this was ages and ages before I started writing rock music. And he always said, like, you know, there are people in every industry, but specifically for music, there are people who want this. There are people who and there are people who need this and people who have to do it. And the need was kind of like this middle part of like, oh, like I really need to do this to like make money or to self-validate or whatever that was. But the people who have to do it literally have no freaking choice. Like you're saying, like you were working and writing this stuff because it was all coming to your head and like, oh God, like I have to get this down on paper and I have to record it and I have to mix it and I have to just see this to whatever end it's gonna be because I have to do it. And that's so beautiful. And I don't think a lot of people come across that. So
and
that's awesome.
For no one other than myself. Because like I knew I have enough self-awareness to know that like I'm not going to be the greatest rapper or musician of all time. I have that level of self-awareness. I'm sure if I put the work in and I, you know, schmoozed with the right people and I made 28,000 TikToks, I'd maybe find my way. But I didn't care. I just was like, I'm sick of I love hip hop. I've been a huge hip hop fan my entire life, right? I've listened to everybody. I've listened to albums start to finish multiple times. And I was like, it came from a need of being like sick and tired of the music that was coming out in that field. Like just feeling like it wasn't hitting. Like Mac Miller for me was huge. It was like, here's this guy who's like a rapper, but he's not talking about like stuff that I can't relate to. Like Eminem is great, but I can't relate to his struggle, like which is half of music, is being at least a little bit relatable, right? That's why we enjoy music, is because it hits us on a certain level of emotions.
Totally.
But like, since he passed, I was like, I've not connected with any artist. I'm like, oh, let me connect with myself. And then I don't know if you found this with your music, but I found like, it was almost like I was creating like affirmations for myself. Or like, so these affirmations and these songs and messages of like things I wanted to attain, or boosting my confidence a little bit, like telling someone, there's no one there, but telling that person who the fuck I am, you know what I mean? Like, you better take me seriously and shit like that. And then you listen to it over and over again, you're like, yeah, all right, how cool, I feel good.
Absolutely. No, it's totally the same thing. Like, I feel like when I'm writing, I'm writing the music that I want to hear, right? Like, and I'm, you know, most artists are doing that, unless you're not writing your own music. Not all of them.
Some of them are industry plants.
The industry plants.
Specific sounds for.
God damn, no thanks. No, I can't stand it. No, but it's totally like, yeah, I want to write songs that hit me the way those, like, my top songs do. I want to write songs that are going to be on my gym playlist, on my, like, sad playlist, on all of my playlists. I want to have one of my songs that I'm like, fuck yeah, this is the one that has all of these top songs, like, meshed together. And that was my, like, child that came from that.
I love that. What's one of your songs, like, for people that want to delve into your library of music? What's one song that you find like really hits that point?
That's a great question. I think probably my most recent, this is weird because the sound has changed so much since my last release, and the last release I think is probably the one that I still listen to that I'm like, oh yeah, like I get that. It's called Set Me Free, and I wrote it actually when I was 16.
Wow, that's
and
impressive.
So I was like, yeah, I was first starting out. That's when I started like really taking it seriously, recording professional stuff, and there were a lot of people who had a lot of stuff to say about it. And so it's pretty much just about like telling people to F off and let me do my thing. And like, I'm sorry that your baggage is I don't even know, like, you feel the need to kind of spew your shit all over me. I don't need it. Thanks. Leave it over there. But I will say the music that I'm writing right now is like It's pretty cool rock. Like it's like classic bluesy. There's some like alternative stuff to it. I'm really excited. I think we're gonna have an EP put together in the next several months. So
see, that's
I'm
what
stoked.
I love is like this. For so long, I've been the person who's like, rock is dead now. Like there's nobody's making like music with actual instruments. Like it's all coming from like a press of a button, and it feels like there needs to be this almost like renaissance of just like bring back that. Like I miss the chaos of those rock bands who were like whipping fucking TVs out of the hotel room window and like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and it's because they were just so fired up from the shit that they were playing and the crowds that they were in front of and that energy that they were just pushing, that chaos, that like controlled chaos, I would say. Like,
sure, unless you watch like a Nirvana concert on YouTube, you're like, that shit wasn't controlled.
you're like, oh, this shit is way out of
Like,
control.
all right, freaking Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder climbing up all the shit at the festivals. I'm like, all right, sure.
Who is I would say like the first artist that you like really connected with and kind of admire that I would say pushed you to want to do music? Or was it just a personal like wanting to do music?
Yeah, well, my dad's a musician, so I grew up in a really musical household. It wasn't really something I could escape, and so honestly, he's probably that person for me. Just seeing him do his thing while I was growing up and going to his shows and meeting his musician friends and that kind of thing, and I think that probably is what sparked it deep down. I'm gonna go super basic girl right now and say that Amy Winehouse was probably like an my dad was an artist, but like an artist, like a mainstream artist.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
That was like, oh damn, girls can do something other than take their fucking clothes off and pretend to have sex with the mic stand. Like, wow, that's incredible, and I would love to do that. Like, this woman is just a powerhouse, right? So I'm not a jazz musician. It'd be cool to do like a jazz album someday, but despite that kind of difference in musical avenues, I guess she really just fired that fire in me, like fired me up and was like, no, I can do this and not have to be objectified necessarily.
Yeah, no, that's huge, right? And like to be like a trailblazer in that path as well, and like Amy Winehouse was just such a powerhouse that we lost like way too early. I can't even imagine like the type of music that she'd be making now. And it's just, but like I think we need to also remind ourselves too, like there's going to eventually be a young girl probably coming across this episode or coming across your music, and they're going to see you just kind of carrying on that message, which I love so much, because like you said, the industry has just become so much of that. Even going back to TikTok, like I think it was JoJo who like made a TikTok about, do you remember JoJo?
Yeah, dude, that just brought back like my whole childhood.
Just
it just
unlocked.
flashed in front of me. Wow, that like her and Hilary Duff. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Right? She I was a Disney / Family Channel kid.
Oh hell yeah. My dad was the voice of Family Channel.
What?
For like years. He's a voice artist before anything really. Like that's his job. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But yeah.
We'll move on, but we gotta circle back to that. Oh, I can't drop that bomb, we'll just move on. But yeah, with JoJo, she was saying on TikTok, like she even made a song to it because she was so genuinely upset of just saying like all of these, I'm just gonna sum it up, but like all of the industry and all of the agents that are approaching her are telling her that like maybe if she does their job for them and like makes a viral TikTok, maybe then they'll help her. And she was just like, why? Like that seems so ass backwards. And even like it's like I love TikTok because it has launched a lot of like very independent artists as well, and people who couldn't have necessarily made it on their own. But then there's also the sneaky ones. Like there's agencies who have caught on to this and they're starting to craft videos or duets even that look like they're genuine, but they're not. Like this, I can't remember who it was, but there was this girl who made a song and it was just like, yeah, I just came up with this little song, blah, 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 did the song. And it was like 1.6 million views. And then somebody in the comments was like, oh my God, I also love that song. Can I duet this or whatever? And she's like, yeah, sure, go for it. Then they do a duet, and then all of a sudden the song is together on Spotify with them, and then if you look them both up, they're both on the same agency. I'm like, oh, okay, I see the fuckery that's happening here. Like,
no, it's so unfortunate. Like, the opportunity, I guess, if you even see it as being such, that TikTok provided us with, you know, that independent discovery is just like non-existent anymore. Like you're saying, like, it's just everything any emerging artist could like grasp onto is just like wiped away so fast by industry, and it's incredibly frustrating. Like, where do you go?
When they realize too, like, they just, like, what's next after this, right? Like, I want to go back to the days where like everything was word of mouth. Like, you only found out about someone because they were like incredibly talented, and everyone had to tell the 5 closest people around them, like, have you heard this person? Just grab them by the collar.
Literally,
you need to listen to this right now. Like, that was going viral back in the day.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to return to that.
Honestly, also just for like the socializing aspect, like post-COVID, it would do us some good to get back to word of mouth and like trusting each other with something as simple as music. But you know, we can get somewhere with it for sure.
Yeah, we got to start with music and then move on to everything else. I've
pretty much,
completely lost trust in people. It's just sad, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, my girlfriend today, she had a package that was like, it was there, and we left and came back, and then it was gone. And I was like, okay.
Great.
Like,
perfect. Okay.
I ordered
Christmas,
something off of
whoever.
Amazon. Somebody, like, it was like a phone charger or something, and the guy put it in front of my apartment door, and then I literally got the message that your package is there. I opened up the door, it's gone. I was like,
Oh man.
somebody on my floor is stealing my shit.
Yeah, literally. Who the hell is doing this?
Like, it makes you so mad because there's like that. It's like I think it's like I don't know. It feels like you have like a lack of power, like that gets taken away from you because you can't do anything about it. Like, police aren't going to do anything about it. Like, the building's not going to do anything about it. It's just. So again, it goes back to now you don't trust anyone.
Totally. Yeah, you can't even freaking trust Amazon anymore. You're like, oh man, now I have to actually leave the house and get shit if I don't want it to get stolen. Like, but what if I get
gotta
jumped?
run to my door as soon as I get the message.
Literally.
Like, no, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
What's I was gonna say, like, I know you got some shows coming up in Toronto, but like, I want to like go outside of this box for a second. Where would you love to perform and see, you know, Delyn Grey across the
Wembley
what's it called?
Stadium.
The Wembley Stadium?
Yeah,
That's
hell yeah.
pretty
Dude, go
legendary.
big or go home, right? I'm not going to be like, yo, Massey Hall would be sick. Still Toronto, but no, Wembley Stadium. I want to play Reading and Leeds Festival if it still exists by the time, hopefully something happens with my music. Yeah. You know what? I'll settle for Wembley if it has to be Wembley. No, totally. That's been like a childhood dream. And I think by setting those outrageous goals, you just get closer and closer to them. Maybe you don't end up achieving that, but yeah, that's the goal, and we're just going for it.
Keep going till
So
you get
we'll
there.
see. Yeah, pretty much.
I can't remember. I think it was like Walter Payton. He was like a football player who played for the Chicago Bears way back in the day. And if I'm getting this incorrect, someone please correct me in the comment section. I read the autobiography, so I'm pretty sure it was from him. But he had just won like the Super Bowl, and his parents were kind of like, "Wow, this is so amazing! You just won the Super Bowl. Like, what are you gonna do now? Are you gonna celebrate?" And he goes, "No, I'm gonna go into the gym and keep working out, so that I can win it again next year." Like, winning it wasn't like what he wanted. That was more so just like validation, I guess, that like he was on the right path. And then he just kept working and kept going back at it, because football was the thing that he loved more than anything. It wasn't winning the big award. But I love that for artists, is to always like think outside of the realm of possibility, and you'll like really amaze yourself at what you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it goes back to kind of what we were talking about before about needing to do something. Like, of course, those milestones along the way are going to be fantastic, and like you should celebrate them to some degree, however that best suits you. But ultimately, like at the end of the day, I want to die having made the most music I possibly could have made, you know what I mean? Or like the highest quality music. I'm not like a big bulk writer. Like a lot of artists I know like go into the studio for days and days and days, and they'll come out with like 100+ songs, which is sick, but that's just not how I work. So ideally when I get to my deathbed, I'm there lying like, okay, not cool. I did like yeah, let me listen to my whole discography really quick. I think the quality's there. But no, I think it's just so important to just keep going, and if you're doing it for the right reasons, like you said, like you're gonna get to wherever you need to be. It might not be where you think you should be, but you'll get to where you should. Yeah.
Hey everybody, Johnny here. Just want to take a quick second to thank our newest Patreon subscriber, CLB. I appreciate your support, and because you are subscribed to the show for just $1 a month, you're getting this episode before anyone else. If you want to be cool like CLB, head to patreon.com/TheJohnnyRogers and join in on the fun. All right, now back to the episode. And like, I know this is so corny and everybody always says this, but like everything truly does happen for a reason. Like I remember there's a comedian named Ron White who I just heard. He's like, I don't know if you ever heard of him before, but he's an older comedian who's been around for a long time and like just been famous for a very long time in the world of comedy. Mostly, I think it was Blue Collar Comedy Tour with like Jeff Foxworthy.
Okay, cool.
Those guys that really kind of popped him off, Larry the Cable Guy. But he only had like a 10-minute spot in this movie. But the thing is before that, he had been doing stand-up for 15 years. He had maybe an hour and a half of like material. Anyone doing stand-up knows how hard it is to get that first hour of material. It literally takes 10 to 15 years to really hone an hour and a half of material. And so he had all of this material that no one had even heard before, and he couldn't really like get booked at clubs because they were like, you can't fill this small club. Like, what do you know, sorry, I can't, you can maybe host or you can feature or something, but like you're not headlining because we know that it won't put asses in the seats. Well, he gets this movie and he sees that he only has like a 10-minute spot in the movie. It's not huge, like he's not going to be as famous as Jeff Foxworthy or as famous as Larry the Cable Guy, but he recognized that if he played it right and he was funny and he was good in that 10 minutes, that he could find his audience. And then he did. And like I think he told his manager like, oh, I want to book out this like, it was like an 800-seat theater. He goes, I want to book out that theater. And his manager was like, no way, like you're going to take a huge loss. But he goes, nah, trust me, okay. He sold it out like, I think they did like 8 shows or something, and just back to back, like 2 shows a night, just kept selling it out. And it was because he like he saw what the opportunity was. He knew that he had taken advantage of it, even though he didn't have the tangible numbers in his hand of how many people had saw it. He knew what the impact would be, and he was ready. At 15 years in, he was all of a sudden ready because he had that hour and a half of material that nobody had saw before. Whereas I was saying this earlier to someone where it was like, there's Last Comic Standing, let's say. So it's like a comedy competition that was supposed to launch like newer comedians. Okay. And they maybe do like 5-minute sets or something throughout it. Maybe they have 15 minutes total of material. Let's say they win the competition even. They get all of this fame and then they have no material to tour with. They have 15 minutes of jokes. So now they have to like scramble and write 45 minutes in like a week so that they can capitalize on this fame. Whereas the people who are kind of, I'm sure at 15 years in, he was thinking, Jesus, do I quit? Do I keep going? Like, you know?
Absolutely.
But it just goes to show you that you don't know what opportunity is going to come next. So there has to be like other reasons of why you do what you're doing. More than just winning the Super Bowl or playing Wembley Stadium, or it's like because you love music.
Totally. Yeah, it's that feeling you get in the studio when you've written or you've like done the final mix of a song, or even just writing a song. You're like, holy shit, I just wrote that. That's awesome. Like it's chasing that feeling, right? And I think like I'm a strong believer in opportunity meets readiness. So if I have to work the next 15 years to you know, lay a solid foundation, then that's what I'm gonna do, right? Like all these artists are like, I say all these artists, I don't really know all these artists, but
all of them, we're gonna trash all of them,
just
right
all
now.
of them, all of them, all of you suck.
Light them up.
Yeah, no, but it's just this kind of like, I don't know, like overnight success dream. Everyone's like, oh my God, I'm just going to be discovered.
Yeah.
Okay.
And magically, I'll
And
just
then
grow
what?
talent.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone's just going to literally, my mom used to say this to me because I used to get to my head a little bit as a kid, which has since like translated into some pretty significant drive. I will say I'm like a very driven person and I get my shit done when I need to get it done. But it came from this like, no, mom, I'm freaking amazing. And I was 12. Like the kid can't sing. Horrible. Just a horrible time in my life. Anyways, my mom would be like, Maddie, I just outed myself. My full name is Madeline. Delyn is the last part of it. Yeah, exactly. Delyn. My mom was like, Delyn, you need to understand, someone's not just gonna come like knock on the door and be like, hey, does Delyn live here? Because we really want to give her a record label. She's like, you gotta freaking buck up and figure out if this is something you really want to do. Like, look at all the people that you love listening to. They didn't just get there by fluke. Right? Like they were on tour, freaking living off nothing, probably like eating their cigarettes because that's what they could afford. Like insane shit. You're not just going to get chosen out of thin air. And it is frustrating because we do live in this society now where it looks like that happens on the regular. But
and they say that
and
too.
Whatever else.
People say like, oh, they were an overnight success. It's like there is no overnight success.
Yeah, who came to your door and gave you a contract? Like, literally, who was like, hey, we've never seen you before. I've never met you, but I'd really like to put you on tour with Billie Eilish. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
That would be the biggest liability of their life. Like,
literally. Like, okay, sign me up, though. Like,
if
that's what it is. Yeah, please, someone out there. I'm open. Thanks. God, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I had that too with like anything that I wanted to do. I just had this like delusional optimism that like everything was going to work itself out. And not even work itself out, like work itself out really well in my favor. And then, excuse me. Forgot I had a cough button. I could just mute myself. I started coughing in the mic. People were like, ah, damn, dude, what are you doing? It really hit me when I started traveling to do stand-up. I was like, oh, there's a bunch of me's all over the place that all have the same mindset, that they're gonna be the one. And it's just a matter of like seeing who sticks with it, really.
Totally.
Because like you see people start dropping off left and right. Like they're just, oh, now so-and-so's a real estate agent now, or oh, now so-and-so is doing this.
Like,
starting a family, which is fine.
Totally cool.
Do whatever you want. We only have this one life, right? Like I'm not here to make judgments at anyone's decisions in life. We all do things that we need to do. You know, if desperation calls for it, do it. If you need to get a job to keep your head above water, do it. But it's like, they didn't stick with the art, and that's where I'm getting on them at. It's like, you just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there's this incredible amount of pressure on people. Wow, now I'm coughing. Excuse me. It's contagious. Now where was my brain going? I don't even know. Oh my God, it just left me so fast. The cough just like, I coughed it out and it just went right out.
The beautiful thing about podcasts too is we're not live. So it's like people are fine with if you want to sit in a thought for a second. Because I get that too, like where I'm like, fill the silence.
Yeah. Oh my God, wait a second. No, what did you just say? Because I was going to say something really profound. Like it totally made sense. Everyone is doing the same thing as you.
Yeah, you realize that people all over the world are like thinking in the same mindset of like they're going to be the famous one. And in reality, it's like there's only so many of those spots. And really, it's just like a time game. It's like who can last the longest, who can make it that far. Like even Doja Cat like popped off, right? In like 2 years, just out of nowhere, just skyrocketed, right? She'd been making like meme songs, like trying purposely to go viral,
I'm
right?
A cow.
Yeah, bitch, I'm a cow with the French fries up her nose. Hilarious. But even so she now is like, oh, this music thing isn't all I thought it was going to be, you know? And I think a lot of people have that misconception of what that they think that if they get famous, it comes with money and then all of their problems will be solved. Yeah. And they don't recognize that you're about to create a lot more new problems for yourself. Like Biggie said, more money, more problems, right?
Totally. Couldn't have said it better myself. Shout out to Biggie. Yeah, I totally agree. It's again, like having to do these things for the right reasons, and those right reasons are going to be different for everyone. Like my reason for doing music is not the same for your reason for doing comedy, but it doesn't mean that we can't both be incredibly successful. But understand that you're going to have to come back to that core like necessity to keep you fulfilled, and if it isn't fulfilling you, you got to find a different necessity, man. Like it just isn't what you thought it was. Maybe it's like, wow, I really get fulfilled by writing music, or I get fulfilled by producing, or I just want to be a musician, like a session musician, or even for comedy, like I just want to write jokes for people, or I just want to perform. Like finding that thing that you can always come back to. It's tough. It's not like, I mean, things waver, life is a freaking roller coaster, but so long as you can kind of just reassure yourself that no, like I'm doing this because this is the feeling that I love. And I think for that, it's performing for me personally. Like, and it sucked because when COVID happened, I had to find a different thing. It's like, well, shit, why am I doing music if I can't perform for people? Right. And so that I started learning to play the drums, and I was like, all right, I should probably get better at the guitar, and I should probably get better at singing, and finding all these different things that just kept me involved and kept me doing it. Because it would have been so easy even for you to just be like, ah, fuck, man, COVID. Like, I can't do this anymore. That's it. That's it for me. That's the universe's sign being like, nah, it's just not going to happen for you.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people have taken it as like the universe's sign of like, is this really what you want to do? Like, figure out now. You got a little bit of time to do some soul searching, man. Like, do it. Come out the other side and see if it's still what you want. And I think that's been the blessing in disguise for me, if I can digress.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I think that, like you said, it was like a soul searching period for a lot of people where they really had to take a good hard look at themselves and the things that they've surrounded themselves with, and been like, am I happy in this situation? Because I am stuck here in this place until the government tells me I'm allowed to go back outside, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, are you happy with the things you've accumulated in your life, the people you've met, like what you're doing? And it's like, no, then change something. Like it's super easy to just change stuff, but again, people are so scared of change. And change doesn't necessarily mean that you can't go back to that. Like I found I stopped doing stand-up, I started doing music, and then now I'm back into stand-up. Like I've just switched my brain back into stand-up, and I have this new love for stand-up, and I can look at my jokes with fresh eyes because like I haven't been looking at them critically for 2.5 years, right? And now even on stage, I've noticed like the confidence of performing a song. I've never performed live, but you know what I mean? Performing for the mic and like really adding that attitude into it and coming off confident and really hitting those inflections. It's helped with my voice on stage as a comedian, which I never even thought. When I started music, I didn't think like, oh, this is going to help my comedy voice. Wasn't even a thought, but then it did.
And that's incredible. I think that's fantastic. And I think, you know, a lot of people told me when I was first starting out in music that I had to just dedicate every ounce of my being to it, to the point where like it would be the thing that kills me, right? Like you don't really need to do it, or you don't really have to do it if it isn't killing you. And I couldn't disagree more, because like you're saying, if you don't diversify your life enough to get a different inspiration or different like means of learning things, then what are you actually doing? Like I work a full-time tech job for a not-for-profit, and I'm studying part-time at Waterloo for business and legal studies. Like that shit has nothing to do with music, but I will tell you, this bitch knows a lot about entertainment law. So going through managerial contracts, writing my own contracts for shows that I'm booking, networking, like, and the tech side of things too, like building things from virtually nothing, and, you know, building my website, whatever, that kind of,
that's huge.
Like more tech stuff. But it goes to show that like you can build things around the thing you love to make it happen even more. Like I think people just like dig themselves these holes where they're like, no, like this is what I want to do, and it's what I have to do, and it's the only thing that I can do. Every single second of every day needs to be dedicated to this. Okay, well, from a performance standpoint, like, did you think about your fitness? Did you think about your nutrition? Did you think about your mental health? Did you think about like your networking skills, your ability to connect with other humans? Like, you can't just expect the thing that you have to do or your passion to be the thing that you're just going to do for the rest of your life. And I think that's really freaking boring too.
Yeah,
like,
right?
What are you really doing, man?
That was the question I always hated growing up, was like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? I'm like, one thing? I have to pick one thing to do?
Wait, what? Can I
Even
think
at
about it?
16 or even at 13, I was like, that sounds ridiculous. Like, I don't want to do one thing for the rest of my life, just be pigeonholed into that corner. I'm a this, I'm a that, like, and that's it. I don't do anything else. I raise my family and I do this, and that's it. Like,
yeah, no thanks. And for music, I'm sure it's similar in comedy too. Like, I'm not going to write the same joke 50 million different ways so that I fill that 1 hour and a half, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to write rock music for the rest of my life. Maybe I'll perform it for the rest of my life, maybe not, but I'm not going to pigeonhole myself, like you said. Like,
you gotta look at the band like the Beatles too, who just constantly changed their sound, and they didn't give a fuck what anyone thought. They started as these kind of like lover boys where they're making like love music, and all the women loved them and all the men hated them or wanted to be them. And even then they were modeling themselves after Elvis. They all had the Elvis hair, and they were like really copying that sound, and they were taking sounds from like jazz musicians and kind of molding that. And then they smoke weed with Bob Dylan, and that causes a new sound, which that has to be the craziest story ever. The first time you smoke weed is with Bob Dylan. I'm like, what is your life?
Nah, like, no, that's a whole other level. Okay. It's true though. And then they became trailblazers, right? Like, all these bands, or I mean, a name an industry, whoever is quote unquote successful in your whatever point of view, has done things differently and didn't stay in the box, didn't like conform to what people were telling them. In fact, probably most of the time said, fuck you, I'm doing it my way. And then they did it, and now everyone wants to be them, right? Like, like everyone's like, oh, this is the new way. So yeah, I don't know, there's no point in sticking to the rules, if you will, or
what are these artificial rules that have been created? Because it's the same thing. I want to hear music if you've had this, but it's the same thing in comedy. Is like, there's these unspoken set of rules that come into play where it's the same thing as like, you have to grind if you want to make it as a comedian. If you want to be good, you got to do like 5 shows a night, 7 nights a week. You can't have a girlfriend. You can't like see your family. You have to miss birthdays. I'm like, what if I go to a birthday and something funny happens, and then I talk about it on stage, and then it gets put into my special, and then Netflix buys it, and I make $1 million from it? I would have missed that if I was at an open mic talking to 2 people doing the same material again and again and again. To what?
Yeah,
Get
lock
better
yourself.
at the crappy material?
No, exactly. Like, lock yourself in your freaking basement and wait until you come up with like the joke of a lifetime. Like, you haven't lived anything. Where are you getting that from?
Exactly.
Same for music. People are like, oh, I don't watch TV. Oh, I don't I don't go out with friends. I don't do this. I live and breathe music. I'm in my studio 24/7. I don't even eat. I'm like, okay, well, fuck, what kind of life are you living, man? Like, I feel really bad for you, because I'm trying to make more time for my friends and make more time for the things that I love doing. And that just makes this experience so much more valuable, because it's like, oh shit, I only have 2 hours today to work on music. What am I working on? And that, I'm sure that you can relate to as well, makes that 2 hours productive. Like, you're like, oh shit, I'm really in it now. Exactly. This is the thing. People are like so overwhelmed by this like need to spend every second of every day on whatever, building whatever it is. And you could literally do 20 minutes consistently every day, build that habit.
Consistent times is, that's what it is. People like confuse like being productive for like an hour with like you need to think about it constantly 24/7. It's like, no, don't get those two things confused at all. Like, I heard and this makes a lot of sense too, but like, even switching from a music brain to a comedy brain is very different to even just the part of your brain that's just thinking about regular life stuff. Like, oh, I should call that person and check in on them. Oh, I need to get groceries. Oh, I should do laundry. That's a different part of your brain. So to kind of like tap into the creative brain, at least for comedy, like, I often would give myself too high of an expectation for myself. Like I would be like, oh, I'm writing, let's say, like brainstorming an idea. I'm like, everything that comes out should be funny. And it's like, no, your brain doesn't work like that. You need to just start writing about something. And maybe after 40 minutes of doing that, then your creative brain will click on and it'll inspire something. Instead of like, there's people who are like, I just wait for the inspiration to come to me, man. It just comes to me from the ether and then I just put it down on paper. It's like, what?
The clouds. I will say though, I've had a couple moments like that where I've literally written the best songs.
But it can't only be that, you know?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, it's that kind of delusion of like, yeah, no, I'm just perfect, man. I'm just a
vessel for art.
Yeah, this is just who I am. Like, all right, what drugs, and share them, please, because clearly I'm missing out. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's really interesting. I love hearing about other people's creative processes because like they're just so different. And I think there are a lot of interviews with musicians, and I don't know if it's just like media training where everyone literally has the same creative process, and you're like,
what's this creative process?
Okay, this is the one that gets me, and this is the one like I can't relate to because I don't have a shit ton of money and like a label pouring stuff into me. But like, okay, there's this one, Genius, like all the like the lyric things. I
can't get a read on that channel, Genius, because I'm like, are they trying to be funny? Because all of this is awkward as hell.
Oh my God, what a joke.
A cappella, they're reading their lyrics.
No, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. But also, like, it goes to show just how fucking shit all of these songs are because the lyrics are so bad. When you
take away the music, it doesn't do anything.
You're like, wait, I don't dig this anymore. Like, this is stupid as hell. The best one, though, I watched, and my sister sent it to me. No hate, but like Nessa Barrett, who I think is a TikTok star. I think so. Yeah. I'm not part of any of this stuff. I'm sure I've reported
on her for IO or one of those
things. Whatever. Anyways, I don't even know who she is. I don't know who half the people who are famous are anymore. That's so weird, but that's besides the point. What have these people even done? Anyways, she was doing this like Genius thing, and she, at the beginning, I guess they asked her what her creative process was for songwriting, and she says, well, I go into the studio and like my writers will like ask me what I want to write about for the day, and I'll just give them a few words of inspiration like gaslighting, fuck you, and I'm like, girl, wait, what? Like, this is your creative okay, first of all, you're privileged as fuck. You get to walk into a room of like Grammy-winning, like award-winning, whatever writers who take your words of inspiration as though they didn't have songs ready for you already. But anyways, like silver platter.
They just listen to her and then they go, okay, try this.
Yeah, they're like, okay, yeah. So, we'll definitely take that into consideration. Thanks for your input. But here's the song. Here's the new single, sweetie. Yeah, it's either that or like people are like, I've heard a lot of and I mean, again, no judgment, because that's pretty much what it is for a lot of people, I guess. Like, yeah, I'll just go into my space and sit there for a bit and like write and see what happens, or I'll just play on an instrument and see what happens. But there isn't a lot of, and then I take a break, and then I let it sit for a bit, and then I take a couple days to just let it do what it needs to do. It all seems like these people are is impervious the right word? I don't even know. Like,
let's use it.
Yeah, are impervious to writer's block, or like not liking something that they write. There is such thing as writing a song that you just fucking hate and you're not gonna finish, right? Like, or writing a joke and you're like, this is the best thing ever. You go back tomorrow and you're like, oh
my God. Dylan, there's been so many of those where in my head I'm like, this is hilarious. I'm so funny. And then when I get on stage, I was like, oh, I was just really baked. And I thought it was the greatest thing ever. Like, I was just stoned, and I probably shouldn't use that as my meter of what's funny. Like,
literally. But where's the talk about that? Like, I want to hear more about that from
that's what this is
artists. Totally. And I love this. Like, this is a beautiful platform for that, because there isn't enough of it out there. It's all this pristine like use social
maybe
media
we
as
call
the
this
whatever.
episode Authenticity.
Ooh, I like it. Sorry, that was weird. My dad does all these like weird. Anyways, whatever. I grew up with a weirdo, and now I'm one. But, oh
Apple
God.
doesn't fall far from the tree, right?
Literally, honestly though, I'm proud. Yeah. I don't know. No, we're done. That was it.
I feel bad. I stepped on your sentence and then
No. I did that myself.
Yeah. No, but like I think authenticity is important, and it's also important to like tell people that like the whole purpose of authenticity is to just trust your gut and not compare yourself to other people, because like take any of the examples that we've mentioned thus far in this whole podcast. At any point, I'm sure they compared themselves to someone who was in a higher position than them, and then they just said, this is what makes me happy, this is what brings me joy, and they found success in it, and now all of a sudden their way becomes the path. Like I always have those thoughts when I'm doing something where I'm like, what if like my style, my personal style, or the way that I'm coming at something becomes the trend? Because we've watched that happen so many times, so it's not weird to think that it won't happen for you.
Totally. I saw something on Instagram the other day, and it's gonna sound so stupid because it's such a duh, obviously, but just in kind of the vein of comparing yourself to people, this guy was saying, he's like, look, you can compare yourself to someone as much as you want and be inspired by their path as much as you want, but understand that you will have had to have lived every second of your life the exact same way that that person did in order to get to where they are now. Like, there's no point in trying to do the same thing that someone did, because you're not going to get to the same place. And cool if you want to be inspired by things, but back to kind of what we were saying about diversifying your life, like pull from different parts of your experience. Doesn't need to be all music or all comedy or all whatever it is that you do. Try to find things outside of that to be like, oh, you know what, freaking Warren Buffett did this, and Robert Plant did that, and Louis C.K., I guess that's like kind of he was canceled so many times, but anyways, whatever now. He was like the first person that came to mind for comedy. All of these people did these things. I wonder if I combined all of them and like did my own thing. Yeah. And you may end up being the trend, like you said. You
form your own influence based on all of your influences. It creates your unique voice. Like I always say that like every person is essentially like a combination of the 5 people who are like had the biggest impact in your life. You've taken bits and pieces without noticing even of those people's qualities and those traits and kind of made that yourself. And that's what creates your personality and your image.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it just makes things more interesting, man. We don't need more cookie cutter pop stars. We need good music. We need good comedy. We need good art. Like, we need good quality, high quality stuff. Like, stop pumping out the shit, people. COVID was an absolute fucking bummer. Now that we're on the other side of it, like, let's get some stuff that actually means something to us. Like, where's the old music? I'm going to use U2 as an example, and people are going to shit on me for it because I've gotten a lot of people shitting on me for my obsession with U2. But, like, all of their more political songs, like, where's that shit? I know it's out there somewhere. Like, Grandson. I don't know if you've heard of Grandson, but he's so cool. And he's been around for a while. Like, talk about a freaking grinder. Like, he's like, I don't know, he's been around since I was in high school several years ago, and he's just like a massive political figure and just like oozes politics and like just this incredible stuff through his music, and that's what makes me hopeful for the art to come, is like, wow, people actually have real things to say other than, ooh, baby, you look so hot and let me touch your ass. Like are we really
just
still there?
Twerk like 7,000 times in a song.
Oh my God,
like,
literally. And also,
what?
like, how many dancers does someone need on a stage to make their song sound good? Like, what is going on? Whatever. Like, I'm not an entertainer.
Like, what's the payroll for this show? Like, how many people are you fucking
Honestly, are you
traveling
fucking kidding me? The grants can't give me money as an emerging artist, but we can fund millions of dollars for like freaking, I don't even know, like millions of dancers on a festival stage. Like, I get it, whatever. That money goes like, where money comes. Like,
going back to what you were saying too, is like you'd have to live that person's life like step by step to get to where they were before. And it goes back to what we were saying before that, even about how like most artists now only show, and it's just become our culture where you only show your highlight reel. They only show the successes. They only show the great moments of their life. But no artist, no great artist, let's say, becomes great without immense struggle, without terrible things happening to them in their life. So wanting to take that person's life means you're also going to have to take all of the bad with the good, you know? Like, yes, they got to play this amazing stadium and they have a career in music, something you dream of, but maybe they don't have a relationship with their parents, or maybe like they've lost people that they've loved and it's really fucked them up, but they've channeled that into their art.
Yeah, I mean, the first person that comes to mind with that is Dave Grohl, because I recently read his book, and I've been obsessed with him since I was a kid. Like, I just want to be his best friend, and I can't even fathom like the loss that he's experienced in now 2 bands, and but the thing that I respect so much about him is that he really lives every day for the day. Like, and you can argue like, yeah, well, he has it all, so it's easy to do. Like, the man knows he's going to be touring until he doesn't want to anymore. He can, whatever, he has money up the wazoo to do what he wants, but you don't know if you're going to die. like we
what does
just
money
saw
matter
it with,
if he gets a terrible diagnosis tomorrow? None of that shit matters then,
literally,
you know?
he has a wife and kids. He has a family. Like, so he didn't have to sacrifice that necessarily. Why are we being told that we can't have significant others, or that we can't have good family relations in order to like appropriately prioritize our passion? Like, fuck that noise.
That's another huge thing that artists get told too, is like, oh, don't even think about having kids, or don't even think about settling down, because then you won't be able to focus on your art. It's like, hold on a second. I was like, most people have families. Like, it's just like
and jobs. Like, this is my job.
And you when you don't have those things, you kind of sit there in awe. Like, I'm in awe constantly of parents who are, I'm like, how do you find the time? Because you just think like, wow, it must take up every second of your day. But it's like you said, you prioritize your day. You have that 1 hour or that 20 minutes where you have extreme focus on the thing that you love doing. And it almost like it becomes motivation, right? Because now you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for your family. You know, you're doing it to keep everything together, and you want to impress them. You want to become like a god to your kids, basically, of like, look what you can do also, you know?
Totally. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think like the more life you live, ultimately the better your experience is gonna be. Like, don't get to the end of it and be like, I should have spent more time with my friends, or I really should have told my parents that I love them more, or I should have watched more movies with my boyfriend on Friday nights instead of like spending endless hours in the studio or whatever, the office. Like, I do think there's like a pendulum swing happening where like this work-life balance, or just this quality of life, is being so prioritized by millennials and the Gen Zs and the whatevers. I don't even know. There's so many generations now, I can't keep track. But like, everyone's big into mental health right now. That's a big conversation that's happening, and that wasn't really a thing when I was growing up even, right? Like, only in the past maybe 5 years has that become the norm, and I think that's so important. Like, understanding if your job makes you hate your life, there's a change that needs to be made. Like, as daunting as that is, you need to change that. And now people are giving each other permission to do so, which I think is incredible. And hopefully that ends up translating in the art that we start to see. And I don't even know, like the new businesses that start up. Like, these people are doing it because they're passionate about it, and they've been given permission to do so by society. Like, you're not.
Well, and it's by people who lead by like like are people who decide to become leaders in that, and then other people lead by example, right? Like you said, giving permission, I think, is the best way to describe it. You feel like, oh, I can do this too. It's the same reason why I was like, I'd always wanted to try music, but I didn't feel like I had the permission to do it. You know, it took like me watching a ton of other people just be fearless and just go for it, for me to be like, oh, maybe I can do this. And then you feel the confidence in yourself, and then you kind of take charge there.
Totally. And I love how you used fearless. I think nowadays more so than ever, just because we're being bombarded by so much shit, like in order to stand out, you have to be fearless and you have to be shameless. Like the amount of industry people that I've reached out to is absurd. And the amount of unanswered things that I've had is also absurd. Is that going to stop me? No. Like, am I going to stop reaching out to that same person until I get a no? No. I'm actually going to keep doing that, because until I get an answer, it's like fair game, man. So yeah, be fearless, be shameless. Who the fuck cares what people think? Like, easier said than done, obviously, but the more time you spend thinking about what other people are thinking about you, the less time you're spending getting to be like your strongest self, if you will, mentally, physically, whatever that looks like for you. But if I'm sitting at home like, oh my God, I can't do push-ups at the gym because so-and-so is going to look at me and they're going to laugh. And like, obviously if that shit is actually happening, then fuck those people. They can
eat a dick.
They can, yeah. I was like, I'm going to say something and I don't know what to say. I was trying to make it really good, but that was great. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But like, who the fuck cares? Ultimately, is this, I think this was like a Cher quote or something, and my dad brought it up recently. But like, you have to think about things when they happen. Like, is this gonna matter in 5 years or not? And if the answer is no, fucking let that go. Like, just let that shit out the window, because it doesn't matter. You need to focus on you and where you're going. And because that pathway or that avenue is so it's just unknown, you need to spend more time on that to figure it out. Like, where are you going from here, man? Doesn't matter what anyone has to say about it. Where do you think this should go? Follow your gut, like you've been saying since the beginning. Like, I'm a firm believer in that. If it doesn't feel good to your core, like, probably isn't the move for you. Doesn't mean it's like never gonna be the move. Maybe it's too early, or yeah, I don't know. I've had that a lot where I like jump the gun. I'm like, oh shit, I should have just waited an extra week, or I should have just like talked to someone about this, or whatever. Like,
I was bad with that too. When I just started music, I was like, I got so excited about a song and then I just release it. But it was like almost therapeutic, because my biggest fear was like, what are people gonna say about this? Like, how many people are gonna hate it? Like, how many people are gonna like it? And I think it just like releasing it allowed me to kind of let go of like any qualms that I had with the song, where, oh, I need to tweak it a little more, or maybe it could use an extra this, or I don't like the way I sound. It's like, nope, just put it out. Just get it, put it out. And then it got me into a mode where I knew more so like what sounded good, but I first needed to just let go of needing to perfect every single thing, every part of it. Just put it out the way it is, and let it be, because again, like you said, it's not going to matter in 5 years. Like, nobody's going to go on my SoundCloud and go back to the first song I wrote. Because what I did was, the first song, you can actually go on my SoundCloud and on the Crown the Clown album, which is the first album that's on there, each song is the order of songs that I created. So the first song on the track is the first song I ever made. The second song is the second song I ever made. There was no like, oh, I'm gonna reorder this so that it sounds good. It's like, no, this is in the order of the creative process, so you can see how I got to the 10th song, and listen to how I changed things throughout it and learned throughout it, and I didn't go back and correct it. So the first song is, without a question, not good. It's garbage, but it's there. You can go listen to it.
And that's
so that when you listen to my stuff on Spotify or Apple or whatever, you can be like, oh, he's come a long way since that first song.
Totally. Yeah. And there's nothing saying that you can't like re-release that song once someone shoves money in your face and is like, hey, this has potential. I don't know. A very big producer, just like music mogul, Rick Rubin.
Love Rick Rubin.
He said something along the lines, I'm going to butcher it. But the kind of the paramount piece of making art is understanding when to let it go. And the more you overthink this part of like, there's no such thing as like the perfect time to do something. Like there's just no such thing. It's never going to be ready the way you envision it, and it's never going to happen the way you think, because life gets in the way, but also like resources or whatever your abilities are at the time. Like I know for me, like, it's always this block for marketing a single, right? Like, oh shit, what's my marketing plan? And what am I going to do? How much budget do I have for this? And like, it's so time consuming. And honestly, if I just like released it and then was like, maybe I should put some ads on this, or maybe I should push this in another whatever, send this to someone, like, just get it out and then figure the rest out. And maybe that's not good business advice, probably isn't, but I think you need to do a little bit of that. Yeah,
because if that starts working for you, then that becomes the model, you know?
Totally.
Like, so it's like, who's to say? Nobody, all of this shit is so new. Even just humanity in general, we as human beings that can think and do these things, it's so new in the grand scheme of like time, right? Like the dinosaurs were around for like millions of fucking years.
Yeah.
They were just roaming on the exact same land that we're standing on for millions of years. Giant lizards. So you can't tell me when is the right time to put it. How the fuck do you know?
Yeah, like, all right.
Well, did God tell you on top of a hill like Moses? Like,
oh my God, literally.
The 10 Commandments of music?
Oh, God.
But here, I want to pull this around. I always play a fun game with a guest where I dig up a photo and you've got to provide context to this photo for the fans watching on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Do I look like a man or do I look like a man? Yeah, girl, don't fill your eyebrows in like that ever again, maybe. And also wear pants that are maybe put together. That was so awkward. So this was 2020. This was right before the COVID hit, and beside me is the incomparable Bif Naked, who actually managed me for a few years. She's just such an angel. I was on tour with her for a little bit until COVID pretty much just said, you thought. But this was so fun. This was London, Ontario, the Aeolian Hall, and some old dude jumped onto my Facebook afterwards and just like completely blasted me for the pants I was wearing. He's like, cool voice, but thinks her pants are cool, or some shit like that. Like, it was so funny. He like complimented me and just tore me to shreds in one go.
Oh God, I hate those people so much.
Oh man, it's kind of the best. I'm like, but okay, so you thought I was good though, right? Like, all I care about is
you're still focused on that part of it. Yeah, the pants. Like, I can get new pants,
cool
but
voice,
the music
but her
was
pants suck. Okay. Well, I'm glad it wasn't the other way around, because that would have really
cool
hurt.
Pants, but her voice sucked. You'd be like, damn. All right.
Damn it, Richard. Like, okay.
His name would be Richard.
Literally.
Another question I like to ask my guests as well is, if you could make a phone call to 15-year-old Delyn and give her a piece of advice, what would you say? And now this doesn't affect your current timeline whatsoever.
Be patient. Be patient, and like we said before, like, stop letting other people get to you so much. Just trust your gut. Go with what you think is right for you, and be your version of authentic. Stop trying to fit into other people's needs, wants, whatever, their little boxes of what their authenticity looks like. Yeah, I think that would be it. Just beat to your own drum, little Delyn. Do your thing, because it gets pretty fucking cool. Except there's a pandemic, so that also sucks.
Watch out for that.
Yeah, watch out for the pandemic. Try not to breathe too much.
If you want to check out more of Delyn Grey, go to delyngrey.com. DELYNGREY. We've got same thing on Instagram, same thing on Twitter. I guess you were on Twitter. You were I am Delyn Grey.
Yes.
Facebook, Delyn Grey. Oh, I'm getting a wrestling notification there.
Ooh.
You can tell I'm a big wrestling fan. Just pop-ups. I always get those page notifications. It's like, you're now a top fan. It's like, damn, am I engaging that much? Yeah, display badge. I want people to know.
Of course. Own your truth.
God. Yeah. I'm a wrestling geek. That's what I like.
No, I love it. That's fantastic.
You got a show coming up as well at the Horseshoe Tavern, July 9th. You can get tickets on Delyn's Instagram page. Yeah. You pumped for that show?
Oh, I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this since October of last year. It got postponed from January to July. So needless to say, I've been practicing for like 8 months, and I'm ready. I'm so ready. It's gonna be great.
If you're in Toronto, go check out that show. I can't recommend your music more. Seriously, I think you have a huge, bright future ahead of you, and you're already so far ahead.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I thought you were gonna end it. I can't recommend your music.
I can't recommend
your
music
can't
because
recommend
I don't
your
do
music.
that here. I don't recommend anything
Good
anymore.
night.
No, like Sean said, I never lie. He's like, I've trusted that man with every recommendation.
Yeah, God, I can't take that. Oh, man.
You have any parting words for people watching at home?
Oh, man, just thanks for listening this far in. Yeah, and if you're in Toronto, come down to the show. Come say hi. Please don't be a stranger, because I'm trying to get those social skills back up, you know? So, yeah, come say hi or just say hi on Instagram, whatever floats your boat. I'm here chilling. So,
I love that. Well, Delyn, thanks so much for making the time. I'll definitely have to have you back on, and we can keep touching base and talking more art talk and authenticity.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody. See you, Delyn.
You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.